What's going on, traders? It's Ricky with TechBot Solutions. So just another recap on today's trading. I'm actually still live. It's only, let me check, 9:42 Mountain Standard Time. I'm currently in JDST once again and BNTC. I did move my stop loss. I bought in on this one at $4.57. And it was at the bounce after I identified the support at $4.51 or at $4.50. I called it out multiple times. It had, these two initial bounces were three bounces if you count that one, where it actually touched this 450 mark, identifying it as a support. And the reason I was able to identify this as a support was because it was a previous resistance. So as BNTC was actually coming up, it was struggling to go above 450. And once it did, it popped right through, made the new resistance, $5, and came back down and identified, like we know, old resistance levels become new support levels, and it did just that, right? Once it came back down, it bounced right at this 450 mark, identifying this as a true support. It started rising back up. The volume was just great, popped right on through. I actually missed this. I was in JDST and I was investing a little bit more on JDST than I usually do. Therefore, I wanted to devote all my time on that one. Ended up doing pretty well on JDST, but I ended up missing out on a pretty big one today, especially because of my call out. So if you guys don't know, I do have a group. It's TechBot Solutions. We talk about, what it is that we're doing, what it is that we're trading. We share our best practices and share our mistakes as well. During our pre-market movers group chat, as you guys can see right here, I shout out a couple of stocks that have, good volume and good potential. And I find these stocks really just performing my technical analysis. So with BNTC, and let's see if the time shows up. It was at 6:11. This is Mountain Standard Time, so market opens at 6:30. This is before market open, as you could see that on this TD Ameritrade platform, it shows this gray area. It showed that resistance at 415. So what does that mean? Well, pretty much what I identified this as was, okay, resistance at 415, support at 360. So what that meant, it was bounced between that area, and if it breaks above 415, then we could see a solid, rise in volume, and that's essentially what we wanted to see. So going back, it did just that. Once it broke this 415 area, it just popped right on through. So I mean, identifying that as a resistance and being able to jump in and have a plan is really what led to the success for those traders that were able to jump in within my group. I do have a stop loss that it is trending right now at 515. It does have a resistance around 518 or 515 as well. It's not really breaking that. It does have a little bit more potential. No, it actually just broke. It's at 518. Yep, 518. Sweet. I'm going to move my stop loss, and I'm using the Robinhood platform. I usually don't do live tradings because I trade on my phone, and I'm using my computer to do my technical analysis because it has a way better layout, right? Now that we know where it's playing, I called out the support on our main group chat, which is this one, for the support to be at 460 to 450. And in doing so, I wanted people to identify this as a support, and the reason why was because it was a previous support. So as it's coming down, obviously this resistance that it broke is going to be a new support, but then when it breaks below that, it becomes a resistance again, and then now we have this old support, right, based on this history. So I wanted it to identify itself as another support. I didn't want it to break below and stuff like that, right? So it bounced at this 450, a little bit above 450, hit that same resistance, came back down, got a little bit closer, went up, and it wasn't really showing great signs of upward momentum because now these bounces are getting a little bit smaller, showing a downward trend. It did that same thing, but then I saw that it went above EMA, and I was, okay, what's my plan? If you know anything about investing, is you want to make sure that you have a plan every time you guys choose to invest. So my plan was to get in anything above 450, cut losses anything below 450, right? Right below the support, I had my stop loss at $4.49 to minimize my risk. What's my potential? Well, my potential was right away that $5 resistance. So I had that 10% potential. Now realizing that it did hit highs of about 450 or 449. So it got, I had even more than 10% potential. So I felt like my potential for profit was a lot higher than my risk for loss. So that's why I decided to jump on it. The EMA indicator, and that's just one that I use, exponential moving average, was one that indicated upward momentum. And it did that right around that 457 mark. And I think I would have to get a little bit closer so it gets a little bit more accurate. But overall, that is essentially why I jumped in at that 457 mark. It's not showing it on my Fidelity platform, but it is showing on my TD Ameritrade platform, and it actually is taking a pretty big dip at the moment. Hasn't hit my stop loss yet at 505. It did hit highs of about 520, and I'm thinking I'm going to stop loss out any second, but no, it's holding. Um, but yeah, that's essentially how I decided this to be a good buy. That's why I decided to jump in. I was waiting for the support to identify it to support. I didn't want to jump in at the lowest price. I wanted to see that upward momentum. And I had a plan. I knew where I was going to be selling. I wasn't just kind of just going on a limb, right? I knew exactly where I was buying, what was labeled as a good buy, and what was a good sell. It was a stock that's seen a good amount of volume, so it's a healthy stock as of today. I don't know anything about this, what is it, Pharma Ltd company. All I know was that I was able to identify a true support resistance. It had good volume, and it was staying, put with those support and resistance that I was able to identify. So I thought it would be a good stock to trade. And right now I'm up more than 10%, so I'm more than happy, and I just stop lossed out. No, I mean the ask was at 508, but the bids were at 505. I'm actually just gonna put my limit order to sell. All right, team, and just like that, I am out at 510. I logged in $350 worth of profit, so that was with a $3,000 risk account. So a little bit over 10%, not too bad for, and it just broke above the 515 again. And you never truly know, right? This could still be a runner. If it breaks above 520, you might get a tight squeeze from 520 to 550. But realistically, I felt like with what I did and what I locked in, was a great trade, amazing trade. I used my indicators, I used my support and resistance to identify, a good target buy price and a good target sell point. And I was actually planning on selling at $5. I put my stop loss at $5 once it went above, but I never came back down. So anything above $5 was in a sense, just um, So anything above $5 was actually just, gravy. And luckily I was able to lock in another 10 cents. It is right now another, where it's at 515, 516. But yeah, that's pretty much my trade on BNTC. Now I'm going to talk about my trade with JDST. I've already traded JDST once today. I did end up stop lossing out, meaning that I stop lossed out, but I sold for a profit. So what that meant was I called JDST right at market open because of this huge low point that it had. I did call it at the resistance, so that was during pre-market movers with the resistance at $13.60. And once it broke above 13.60, I knew it was going to struggle to go below 13.60. So although it was a resistance, it's now a support. And identifying that as a support, that's why I decided to jump in at that 13.60 mark. So I got filled at 13.60. It rode all the way up to highs of 14. And again, not really knowing that it was going to hit that high. I was planning to sell at 14. So I set my stop loss, hit highs of 14, and then ended up stop lossing out at 14 flat. So I missed out on 20 cents that I was up, but overall just wasn't too worried because I had my buy point and my sell point set. Everything else was again gravy. I didn't want to get too greedy, and I knew realistically that was something that I was going to be able to achieve. I did go pretty heavy on that one, so I went in with $5,000 and with my entry point at 1360. It was just an amazing trade. I shutted it out. There was multiple times where you were able to get in at a pretty close, buy point as of what I did, and there were some that actually got in during pre-market hours, and that's the whole point of this group. It's for exposure, for you to come up with your own plan, and to see, what it is that you choose to do with information that is being shared. And again, we don't tell you in a sense anything of what to trade. We want to make sure that you truly understand and can identify that potential. So in doing so, I was able to lock in a little bit below $150 worth of profit with that single trade. It identified its true support at 13.85, and I ended up getting in at 13.90. Right now it's trending a little bit above $14 if I'm not mistaken. So it's at 14.01 at the moment. So I'm still in the green. Most likely I'm going to do a little bit more of a hold. I have my stop loss set at 14 just to make sure that I keep my, profits in the green. And I do need to move this graph since it's not actually moving around. But overall, it looks to have a resistance now at 14.15. But realistically, I got in at a good price still overall since it's been trending at $15 within the past 2 days. So I'm not too worried about JDST overall. So as of right now, I'm up a little bit over $490, very close to my $500 mark. And hopefully with what I lock in with JDST, it can put me well over that $500 mark. And that's pretty much my recap for the day. Thank you guys again for watching. If you guys have any questions, you guys know how to reach out to me. Feel free to click on the link. If you guys watched yesterday's video, I did lock out the group chat because of something that was going on based on the previous video that I uploaded. But now it's reopened. We came out with a filter process and how we're gonna deal with this, in a sense, problem that we encountered yesterday once we launch our platform. So that is all resolved. So I do want to welcome you guys. If you guys would like to be a part of TechBud Solutions, the link is provided for you down below. Feel free to ask to join, and then right here you will see all the links provided for you, and these links will take you to the selected group chats that you decide to join. And it's just a very welcoming environment. We're here to help one another out, and yesterday just shows that if you guys really want to know like why TechBud Solutions is so great, I encourage you to click on this video and to not just watch the video, but to look through all the comments. Look at all the support and look how we help one another out. That is truly something that I've never seen with any penny stock or investment platform. And I can truly say that I'm more than blessed to be able to call TechBud Solutions my group and my team, and I'm so excited to see what's to come within the next couple of days. So thank you guys again for watching. We are currently sitting about 7,353 subscribers, so if you guys could help us out, please click the subscribe button. We do upload daily recaps like these, as well as helpful videos every day, Monday through Friday at 5:30 Mountain Standard Time, and as well as upload different car videos of the different supercars that we own. So thank you guys again. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Let's make sure that we end the week on a green note. Take care, guys. Baby, don't you let it go to waste. You know we could put 'em all to shame.